Morbid Facts, Part 776. While preparing for his Joker role in Suicide Squad, Jared Leto tried so hard to be edgy that he terrified his own castmates. He reportedly mailed them a dead pig, bullets, pornographic objects, and even a live rat. Some actors also claimed he sent used condoms, though Leto denied this. But multiple sources insist the gifts were so revolting that people genuinely felt unsafe around him. Despite all of his extreme method acting, most of Leto's scenes didn't even make the final movie. And when it finally came out, fans and critics agreed his Joker was one of the worst interpretations ever put on screen. In 1937, 20-year-old Patricia Douglas was hired for what she thought was a film job, only to be taken to a booze-filled MGM party where she was forced to drink and brutally raped by a salesman inside a car. Instead of taking hush money, she did the unthinkable for the era. She filed a lawsuit against MGM, publicly accusing the studio of covering up the crime. But she would find out the hard way that MGM was untouchable. They paid off witnesses, falsified medical records, smeared her as a drunken prostitute, stalked her, and blacklisted her from Hollywood. The case was dismissed, the press mocked her, and her life was completely destroyed. Patricia vanished from the public eye, and Hollywood buried her story for nearly 70 years, until the truth was finally uncovered after she died in 2003. Morbid Facts, Part 777. Child actor Kyle Massey, who played Corey Baxter in That's So Raven and Corey in the House, was once a family-friendly icon. But in 2019, a 13-year-old girl and her mother filed a lawsuit, accusing Massey of sending her explicit photos, videos, and sexual messages. The girl had met Massey years earlier when she was just 4, after her mother introduced them on a set. According to the lawsuit, Massey later reconnected with her and promised to help launch her acting career. But 2 years later, prosecutors in Washington state charged Massey with immoral communication with a minor, after investigators found that he allegedly sent nude photos and videos to the same underage girl through Snapchat. Kyle never showed up to his court date, and a warrant was issued for his arrest, but his lawyers later claimed he'd never been properly served. While Massey denied all allegations, the case effectively ended his acting career, leaving fans stunned that the goofy kid from Disney could end up being accused of something so disturbing. As of now, no conviction has been publicly reported, and the legal proceedings have faded quietly from headlines, but the case still remains a strange, unsettling fall from fame for one of Disney's once brightest faces. Morbid Facts, Part 277. Soviet gymnast Elena Mukina was widely touted as the next great gymnastics star until she broke her leg during a competition in 1979. With less than a year until the 1980 Olympics would be held in Moscow, her coach rushed her recovery despite Elena begging her doctors to keep her cast on, knowing she wasn't fully healed. Her coach then pressured her to perform a very dangerous move called the Thomas Salto. While practicing the move, she ended up landing on her chin, snapping her spine and leaving her a lifelong quadriplegic. She died as a result of complications with her condition at the young age of 46. In 1999, British woman Sally Clark was wrongly convicted of murdering her 2 infant sons who actually died from SIDS. The little understood phenomena caused a jury to believe she smothered her sons to death. After serving 4 years in prison, she was released in 2003. But the damage was done as she developed severe psychiatric issues and died from alcohol poisoning in 2007. Morbid Facts, Part 775. In 2022, 39-year-old Stephen Dierkes was working at Caterpillar's foundry in Illinois when he suddenly slipped and fell into a large vat of molten iron heated to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. The human body has zero chance at that temperature as he was vaporized instantly. A coworker said part of his body was still on the platform while the rest of it melted like candle wax. OSHA later found several severe safety violations, but nothing could undo one of the most horrific workplace deaths in history. Kazuko Fukuda, dubbed the Woman of 7 Faces, strangled a coworker in 1982 and disappeared, launching one of Japan's longest manhunts in history. But instead of hiding, she reinvented herself over and over, using fake identities, constant moves, and even plastic surgery to change her face. She stayed free for nearly 15 years, long enough that Japan's statute of limitations on murder was about to expire. But just months before time ran out, a diner owner recognized her from a TV show, and police confirmed her identity using fingerprints on a beer bottle. She was finally sentenced to life in 1999, but died in prison just 6 years later. Morbid Facts, Part 411. In 2015, Caitlyn Jenner rear-ended a 69-year-old woman at a red light who was thrown into oncoming traffic and fatally struck by a Hummer. Jenner claims the paparazzi was at fault for the crash after constantly stalking the reality star and pulling up too closely to Caitlyn's car. The case was settled outside of court as Jenner avoided any charges for the tragedy. Shoes discovered in the wreckage of the Titanic are often found in pairs because they were worn by the victims when they died. Their entire bodies disintegrated, but the shoes remained intact due to protective oils in the leather. In 2012, Nigerian businessman and polygamist Yoroko Onaja died after 5 of his 6 wives forced him to have intercourse with each of them. They were apparently jealous of the attention he gave to his youngest wife and threatened him with knives, demanding he sleep with them. Onaja managed to have intercourse with 4 of them, but apparently had a heart attack and stopped breathing before reaching the 5th. Morbid Facts, Part 778. In the 1950s, doctors at Tulane University, led by Dr. Robert Heath, conducted one of the most disturbing neuroscience experiments in history. They implanted an electrode into a woman's brain, right in the region responsible for pleasure, and gave her a button that let her trigger it whenever she wanted. The result was terrifying. She began pressing the button non-stop for hours, then days, completely abandoning her family, her responsibilities, and even basic hygiene. She refused to eat or sleep, ignored everyone around her, and focused only on getting another jolt of artificial euphoria. She pressed it so obsessively that she developed an open, bleeding sore on her finger, but kept going anyway. When doctors finally took the device away, she begged them to give it back, became depressed and agitated, and even showed withdrawal-like symptoms because nothing in real life gave her pleasure anymore. The case horrified researchers so badly that human pleasure center experiments were largely shut down because it proved that if you could manually trigger happiness, it might destroy your ability to live without it. Morbid Facts, Part 638. In a resurfaced video from 2016, Cardi B casually confessed to drugging and robbing men during her stripping days, luring them to hotel rooms under the guise of sex, then stealing from them once they were unconscious. No victims ever came forward, leading many to believe they were either too ashamed, unaware, or unable to remember what happened. Cardi later defended herself by saying she did what she had to do to survive and that she would do it again without regret. The confession drew widespread outrage in comparisons to infamous cases of sexual exploitation. Yet despite her disturbing admission, no charges were ever filed and her career continues to thrive. In October of 2023, a hunter stumbled upon the remains of a missing man deep in the mountains of Colorado. Lying faithfully beside him was his white Jack Russell Terrier, Finney, having somehow survived the unforgiving wilderness for months, refusing to leave her owner's side. A grieving daughter from the UK placed her mother's ashes in a bottle along with a touching message before throwing it into the ocean. Her mother had passed away from a heart condition at the young age of 51, never having the chance to fulfill her dream of traveling the world. The bottle was soon found by a family who posted the story online before honoring the heartfelt request.